Now, the Islamic State released a graphic video on Sunday claiming to show the beheadings of 21 Egyptian Christian men who were kidnapped in Libya. Over a dozen of the men were from Al-Aour, Egypt, a small town just 3 hours south of Cairo. For a new article on the World Post, HuffPost Middle East correspondent Sophia Jones travelled to this small town to meet the families and friends of the victims and to learn about who these men really were and how they lived. And Sophia joins us now. So good to see you, Sophia. I mean, tell us a little bit more about the town where the majority of these men were actually from.
So this town is about 3 hours south of Cairo, and it's an impoverished town. There are dirt roads, people don't have any money, and they say that there are no jobs in the south for them. So many of the men from this village and neighboring villages have gone to Libya in hopes that they can somehow work and find enough money to send back to their families.
So, why were these men in Libya in the first place? I mean, you mentioned financial reasons.
Well, that's really the only reason why they're in Libya. They definitely don't want to be there. It's incredibly dangerous, and they knew the risks. And they were constantly talking with their families about whether or not it was worth it for them to be there. But when there are no jobs in their town, and Libya is so close, and they have friends and family who had gone there previously, they see it as a really a good way to make money despite the risks.
Yeah, I mean, you say, there are friends and family that had gone there previously. So, how and why do you think these men were in particular targeted?
Well, their family says they were targeted because they were Christian, and particularly Coptic Christians, since they were Egyptian. In the ISIS propaganda video, they threatened Christianity and Christians. And their families definitely say that they felt like their religion was under attack. But they also find solace in the fact that these men were devout Christians. They say that while they were brutally murdered, they're going to remember them as being heroes of their families, and that even though they're dead, that they're safer now and they can't be hurt anymore.
Well, I mean, you interviewed many family members and friends of these people that were victims of ISIS. I mean, let's just take a little look at what one mother had to say about her son, Youssef, who was killed by ISIS.
أخوه لسه قبل ما اتجوز يقول قول له حرك عشان أنا أتجوز حتى عملنا له الشقة بتاعته محروها وراح عشان يكون نفسه هنا الأجرة مش مقضية مصلحة يبقى هو اتجوز أحسن جيزة في السنة.
Youssef's mother there mentioning the financial aspects that you'd already talked about, Sophia. I mean, what else did Youssef's family have to say?
Well, these families said that these men were frankly heroes. They were heroes of the families and heroes of the town. These were men that knew the risks of going to Libya, but they did it anyway because they knew it was the only way that they could give their families possibly a better future. One of the men was going to Libya to support his daughter in college. They lived 6 people to one room, but his oldest daughter was in college. And he told his family members before he died that he was so proud that she was in school, and it made everything worth it for him.
Sophia, in terms of how the town is healing, I mean, how are they all, doing, how are they coping, and how are they going to remember these men?
Well, what I found was actually really striking when I went to Al-Aour is that I expected people to be enraged and bitter and want revenge. But actually, there was an overwhelming feeling of love. There was just an outpouring of love. Everyone talked about how cherished these men were and how they are remembered as beloved sons and husbands and cousins and friends. And they're not remembered as the people who were brutally killed. They're remembered as heroes.
Well, Sophia, thank you very much for joining us. And guys, to check out Sophia's piece in full, you can click on the links in the resource world below.